You can't type your real name in Roblox. Not because it's forbidden, but because the platform was never built to hold who you really are. It was built to hold who you could become. A dream wrapped in code, a childhood made of blocks, a silence dressed as sound. Before there were avatars, before there were servers humming in distant data centers, before Robux had value or games had rules, there was only an idea, a quiet belief that children don't need games, they need space. Space to imagine, space to build, space to disappear into something larger than themselves. That idea had a name once, Dynablocks, not Roblox, Dynablocks, dynamic blocks, a name that sounded like science, like engineering, like something from a classroom where curiosity was the only grade that mattered. But it was never meant for classrooms. It was meant for bedrooms at 2 a.m., for kids with too many thoughts and not enough paper, for dreamers who needed more than crayons. In 2004, David Baszucki and Eric Cassell sat in a garage or an office, or maybe just a quiet corner of the internet, and they asked a simple question. What if we gave children the tools to build worlds instead of just playing in them? Not mini-games, not levels with stars at the end, but entire universes. Messy, unstable, glorious. They didn't want players. They wanted creators. They didn't want consumers. They wanted architects of imagination. The first version wasn't pretty. No avatars with customizable faces. No neon hair or limited edition hats. Just a green field, endless and flat, and on it, one gray block. That block wasn't an obstacle. It wasn't part of a course. It was a test, a physics experiment, wrapped in simplicity. Eric Cassell placed it there, not to challenge anyone, but to see if the world he built would behave like a world should. Would gravity hold? Would momentum carry? Would a digital footstep leave an echo? That single block was the seed, and from it, everything grew, but no one came at first. For months, only 3 users existed. All developers, all ghosts in the machine. No children, no laughter in chat, no frantic running through obstacle courses that didn't yet exist. Just silence, and the hum of code compiling in the dark. Then someone arrived, not with fanfare, not with a press release, but quietly, like a whisper through a modem. A child typed a username, something silly, something temporary, and stepped onto that green plane, and saw the block, and didn't see a test. Saw a mountain, a throne, a spaceship, a home. That moment changed everything, because the platform wasn't designed for that child. But the child redesigned the platform with their imagination. They didn't follow the rules of Dynablocks. They ignored them. They built a second block, then a third, then a castle, then a city, then a universe. And so Roblox was born, not from a corporate strategy, but from a child's refusal to accept limits. The name changed later. Dynablocks became Roblox, cleaner, sharper, more like a brand than a dream. But the soul remained, hidden in the code, in the way avatars moved, in the silence between sounds. Speaking of sounds, there was once an oof, a tiny noise, barely a second long, but it lived in millions of memories. You heard it when you fell, when you failed, when the world reset around you. It wasn't angry, it wasn't sad, it was just there. A digital sigh, a pixelated shrug. That sound had an owner, a composer named Eric Klein, who made it for a game, long forgotten, and Roblox borrowed it. Not with contracts, not with permission, just because it fit. For years it echoed through every death, every mistake, every restart, until one day it vanished. Not with a warning, not with an announcement, just gone. Rumor says Roblox paid $20,000 to erase it, to buy silence, to retire a sound that had become too familiar, too human, too much like a shared memory they could no longer control, and so the oof became a ghost. A legend whispered in forums, a myth replayed in old YouTube videos, a sound that now lives only in the minds of those who grew up with it. But the silence it left behind speaks louder. Avatars too had a secret. The first avatars weren't meant to have faces, just yellow heads, smooth and blank. No eyes, no mouth, no expression. Because expression wasn't the platform's job, it was yours. You were supposed to project your feelings onto that blank sphere. Make it smile when you won, make it frown when you lost. The face wasn't in the model, it was in your mind, but kids wanted more. They wanted to be seen, so Roblox gave them eyes, then mouths, then hats, then entire wardrobes. And slowly, the blank canvas became a mirror, and something was lost in that trade. The founder understood this. David Baszucki never appeared as himself in Roblox. He used the username Builderman, not as a gimmick, but as a statement. He wasn't there to be famous, he was there to build, and then to step back. Even his name is hidden in the code, not in plain text, but buried in variables, in class names, in old scripts that no one reads anymore. If you dig deep enough through layers of updates and patches, you might find a reference, a ghost of the man who started it all. But you'll never find his real name in a username field, because the system won't let you type it. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Roblox was never about identity, it was about escape, and that's why so many stayed. Not for the games, not for the Robux, but for the feeling of being someone else, someone infinite, someone made of possibility. Even the economy was an accident. Robux wasn't meant to be currency, it was meant to be gratitude, a way to say thank you to the builder of a world you loved. But humans turned it into money, into status, into scarcity, and the platform adapted, not because it wanted to, but because it had to. Still, in the corners of old games, in maps abandoned since 2009, you can find places where none of that exists. No shops, no ads, no leaderboards, just a block, a sky, and silence. Some say there's a room in every old game, accessible only if you press Shift and C at the same time. A white room with no doors, where the music stops and your avatar stands still, not because it's broken, but because it's remembering. No one talks about it much, because those who find it don't want to break the spell. The green sky was another accident. In the earliest builds, the skybox was coded with the wrong hex value. Another white waiting. Nin Steve 87 glowed neon green. Developers meant to fix it, but when they saw children playing under that alien sky, laughing in chat about living on a planet with green air, they left it. For a while, the whole world was under green stars, a dream in chlorophyll tones. Now it's gone, replaced by realistic sunsets and dynamic weather. But in emulators, in archived builds, you can still find it. That wrong sky, that beautiful mistake. Roblox was full of those happy accidents, quiet rebellions, moments where code met chaos and something human emerged. Even the lobby had a watcher. In the early days when you waited for a game to load, there was an NPC in the corner, just standing, not moving, not speaking. Players called him the Watcher. Some thought he was a bug. Others believed he was Eric Castle's digital ghost. After he passed away in 2013, Roblox never confirmed his existence, but they never fully removed him either. In some old versions, if you look behind you in the spawn area, you'll see a figure fading in and out like a memory. Maybe he's still there, maybe he's watching. The truth is, Roblox was never just a platform, it was a time capsule, a vessel for a specific kind of childhood, one that existed between dial-up and fiber, between flash games and metaverses, between believing in pixels and knowing they're just light. And if you played between 2007 and 2014, you didn't just play a game, you lived in a shared dream, a dream where your name didn't matter, where your block city could float in the sky, where falling made a sound that felt like home, where the only rule was, imagine. Now the platform is different, bigger, smarter, more corporate, but the old world still exists, in backups, in memories, in the hearts of those who built their first block not to win, but to exist. And that's the real secret. Roblox wasn't built to last, it was built to be left behind, so you could carry what it taught you into the real world, that you are a builder, that silence can speak, that a single block can hold a universe. You just have to believe it. So the next time you hear someone say it's just a game, smile, because you know better. You know that once, a long time ago, in a green field under a green sky, a child stood on a single gray block and decided to build a world. And for a little while, we all lived in it. And maybe, in some quiet corner of the internet, we still do. The servers may update, the graphics may improve, the sounds may change, but the feeling remains. The feeling of logging in, not to escape reality, but to remember what it feels like to create it. And that's why we keep coming back. Not for the games, but for the ghost of who we were, standing on that first block, ready to imagine everything. Even now, years later, when you close your eyes, you can still see it. The green field, the gray block, the silence before the oof, and for just a second, you're there again, not as your real self, but as someone freer, someone made of blocks and dreams, someone you could only be, before Roblox became everything, and you became someone else. But that someone is still with you, in the way you see empty spaces as canvases, in the way you hear silence as possibility, in the way you know that a single idea, a single block, can change everything. So build, even if no one sees, even if it disappears tomorrow. Build, because that's what they wanted all along. Not players, builders, not users, dreamers, and you were always both. Even if your name was never allowed, even if your avatar was just a yellow head, even if the sound of your fall is gone, you were there, you built, you imagined, and that is enough. The platform will fade, like all platforms do, but what you made in it, what you felt in it, that remains untouched by updates, unbroken by time, a quiet truth, hidden in plain sight. You didn't play Roblox, you lived in it, and for a little while, it lived in you. And maybe, that's the point, not to leave a legacy in code, but to carry the courage to create, into a world that often forgets how. So thank you, to the child who placed that second block, to the developer, who left the green sky, to the composer, who made a sigh sound like home, to the watcher in the corner, to Builderman, to you, for believing, for building, for remembering, even now, even here,
Even in silence, you are still there, on that green field, with that gray block, and the whole universe, waiting to be imagined, again.